Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second episode of Under the Bridge with the Dreadnought Council of Bat City Toys. I am one of your hosts, Gino Astorita, owner of Bat City Toys, and I'm here with the rest of the Dreadnought Council. Directly across from me is our famous and infamous Tony.
That'd be me.
Next to him is Jay. Say hi to the world, Jay.
Hello.
And introducing the newest member of the Dreadnought Council, our boy Corey, sitting in for Art today. How you doing today, Corey?
Doing well, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. And this morning, we're happy to welcome my brother from the same mother,
Right.
Pup Zenabi,
Hey.
well known here locally in Texas, premier guitar instrumentalist. Just came back from the Dallas International Guitar Festival. Great time. And, some of you are saying, well, wait a minute, this is a toy show. What are we doing talking about guitars and music? Well, Pup's intersectionality is he's also a great toy collector and a toy lover, a vintage toy lover like we are as well. So we're going to talk about that a little bit too, but there's a lot to go over today, so we're going to get kicked off. So Pup, welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you guys for having me. This is great.
So Pup, I literally just started talking about coming back from the guitar show, and there's so much to talk about, but why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on in your life right now and how things are going for you as a musician here in Texas?
Things are going great. Couldn't be better. I got KBK guitars producing my line of signature guitars, which is
Nice.
pretty much a dream come true. And we're now that we just got the other one finished, we're about getting ready to shoot our video and actually do like a really nice, music video, which is something that's always been on my bucket list.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just never had a really good one. I've heard a lot of people with iPhones, and then, I want to do the real spiel.
And that's for and that's for the instrumental project you're
Yeah,
gonna do.
Pup
Okay.
Zenabi Instrumental Project.
And it'll showcase the KBK guitars,
Yes,
I'm assuming
yeah.
too, right?
So that's
Yeah.
the cool. That's why I did the upgrade on this.
Nice.
Too, just to bring it out a little bit.
So, a little bit about your background. So, obviously you're my brother, so I'm a little biased. So, but yeah, grew up in Vegas and came to Texas. And how's Texas working out for you in the music scene out here?
Texas is the best thing I ever did. If I could have been born in Texas, honestly, I probably would have been happier. I love the state.
I hear that from a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
I was 29 when I moved here from Vegas, and never looked back. Everything worked out right when I got here.
Nice.
I think that it's just a community of absolutely amazing people. The diversity is friggin' awesome. You know what I mean? You get
Yeah.
all walks of life. So it's never boring. The only thing that's bad is the driving. People get out of the left lane. Please get out of the left lane.
And get off your cell phones. It's like
Yeah,
an
that
epidemic,
too,
right? Left
so-
lane and cell phones in Texas.
That and 35 does not move.
Yeah,
No.
no, especially certain parts of the day. But
Oh, yeah.
no, it's great out here. The music scene is just nuts. You have everything.
Yeah.
And especially being where I live in the tiny hole of Seguin, it's right between San Antonio and Austin, so it gives me a lot of opportunity, to be an hour away to play a bunch of really great venues and whatnot. So
Yeah.
yeah.
How many people in the scene can actually sit there and say, I've got a custom guitar, right? I mean, a lot of people like to talk about, oh, I'm sponsored, so they put up an Ibanez banner or something when they
Right,
play
right.
shows, or they get so many drumsticks for free from Guitar Center. But how many people are actually sponsored by a guitar company, and that guitar company says, how do you want to make your guitar from
Yeah.
scratch? It's not just like
Wow,
add these
absolutely.
pickups. So how did that all work out for you? I mean,
That's
how
a
did you get into
huge
that?
difference. That's one of the reasons why I'm so happy to represent a company like Killer Bee Customs, man, out of San Antonio, Texas. When we started working together, and I was working with another company prior to them, then they fell short in literally every way you could think of. And it's like, I think you know me, obviously, your brother. I'm very particular. You don't do it if you're not going to do it right.
Right.
I don't want to hear it. You know what I mean? There's no excuse for failure when this is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And especially when you give them literally all the drawings and everything to do it and you design it, like, how'd you miss this? So, KPK, yeah, they really took it and listened to what I felt, because it's not just a guitar to me. I've been playing guitar for 34 years. Since I was 8 years old, all I dreamt about playing the feather duster before I could afford my first guitar, was being a guitar player. So to me, it's more like it's like a samurai sword,
Mm.
man. It's your axe, you know. That's also why they're called off with their heads.
Mm.
So, but you gotta, and they've really produced it and helped get what was my me as an artist trying to portray that into an instrument that would give me the ability to do what I want to do, how I play and stuff
Uh-huh.
like that. But I also thought bigger than that. I'm not trying to just do it about me. I'm doing it about bigger guys who play. Making sure that you have perfect weight. The tone wood percentages are thought out. They're not just like just put a strip here. It's like this one's a basswood, right? And this one's a mahogany
Yeah.
swap ash and but being a
Well,
top,
why
but
don't you grab one and kind of show us what
oh
you're
sure,
talking about,
yeah. So
so we can see it on camera a little better.
this is my main girl, the off with her heads PZV3, and this is just a basswood body. But when you're playing with a painted guitar, typically the best resonance, in my opinion, is going to
Hmm.
be on basswood if you're going to paint it. You know what I mean? You're not going to use exotic woods and then
Yeah,
paint it.
you got another layer
That's
on it.
that just
Doesn't
deadens
make
the
sense.
sound of it. These are vintage '94 DiMarzios. The placement of where the switch is, the way it's kind of hard to show you guys here though. I play classical style, so I don't know if you can see I'm a bigger guy. So having that horn real high and stuff like that makes it extremely comfortable and I mean, it's easy when you're playing and whatnot. You see how it's got the room for the whammy. I mean,
Hmm.
it's right there. When you're playing, one of my favorite things is the three-way switch being positioned up so high, because when you're playing, you don't want to stop and then have to flip here and to come back here. Then you just hit it with your finger while you're
Yeah,
literally in the
your hand
strum.
doesn't accidentally
You know
touch
what I mean?
something
It's just,
else. Yeah.
and then you back up the volume. Got a coil tap on it for the neck pickup. So if you really want to get soulful, you really want to get bluesy. You want to get that Strat sound. You know what I mean? You can sound like a Strat, man, all
Yeah.
day long. I don't care. Uh, but then when you really want to get nitty gritty, you go to the Evolution, crank her up, and you can do anything you want to do with her. Stainless steel frets, 9-piece wood neck. We got bird's eye maple, mahogany, walnut, and then a strip of Babinga for stability. We got the Wenge wings on it, Godo, locking tuners. I mean,
So
there's not one thing that was missed on this guitar.
no, and
So.
and if I remember from the show, one of the things that struck a lot of people was that cutaway at the bottom
Right,
under the
yeah,
bridge
everybody
there,
always asks
right?
about that.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you where it started, and it's a funny story about that too, though. I'd seen the Red Beach, and if you want to look it up, it's on REB Beach, Ibanez. And it has a more similar cutaway as to this one right here. So you'll see how that's kind of like,
More of a V, not
yeah,
right
it's
up against
out,
the bottom of
right?
the
So this
bridge.
is really
Yeah.
red beachy, you know what I mean? And it's
Hmm.
something just when I was a kid, I was like, like seeing a spoiler on a car, you're like, well, that's cool. And I was like, I want to do that, right? So I had a old red Tamara. I don't even know why I remember the name brand of it, but I knew what it was. And I asked Dad, I said, hey, Dad, can you cut this part out of the guitar? He looks at me like, why do you want to cut the piece?
Yeah.
I think it'll look cool,
But it's a,
right?
it's and because of that, because of the time you said it's kind of a retro
Right.
aspect
It's
to a
kind of
modern guitar, right?
right. And
Yeah.
then, but it also, if you do it right, it helps with the balance
Mm.
of the weight of the guitar. And let me tell you, when you get older, I'm 42. My back is not what it used to be after 25 years of tile. So you want something that's going to be nice and
Little bit more,
comfortable.
a little bit more, yeah, a little
So
weight
it,
out
it
of it.
helps with the weight distribution of it as well.
Yeah.
So in this model with the exotic woods, we had to take a little bit more out versus with the basswood. You see what I mean? You don't
Yeah.
have to take it's less dense. So, but it helps with the weight and feel. You can check it out if you want to.
So that, yeah, so these things were real popular at the show, and that was the thing that was striking to me. So I went with Pup to the Dallas show,
Yeah,
walked
that was
around,
amazing.
you know, tons of guitars, everyone you could ever think of, and
I think there was about 44,000 guitars.
oh, I
They said
wouldn't
that was
doubt.
there.
I would not doubt.
Like,
And
wow.
it's funny because I was looking for an EB from Gibson, and I couldn't
Right.
find one. That was the one thing I could. Then again, it's not about bass guitars; it's all about six strings there. But not a single guitar had a cutaway like that.
Right.
So I know that's a
True.
popular,
That
and
is true.
that's a new feature on
Right.
that.
And we
And
sold
you,
we sold 4
I was
cans.
gonna
Yeah.
ask you how many you did.
So we did 3 guitars and 1 bass. Believe it or not.
One
So
bass.
1
I
bass.
wonder
I
who
wonder
put
who
the
bought
order
the
for that
first bass.
bass. Hmm.
I wonder. I know a certain older
Y-
brother bass
yeah.
player.
Hopefully, my wife won't be watching this. Going another guitar. So,
I thought it was a fish.
That was a fish.
So, one thing I forgot to mention at the beginning of the show is you guys heard our intro music. That comes from Pup Zenabi Instrumental Project and happens to be from my favorite track, Over Atlantis.
Sweet.
So I thought that
It's
was
an
funny
honor.
because it's Over Atlantis
Right.
opening Under the Bridge.
There
So
you go.
there you go.
I
See?
love it.
Works.
It all
I'm very
comes together.
privileged. And I'm finishing up the.
Oh, you want to talk about
yeah,
that?
yeah. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Well,
Yeah,
once you
sure.
announce it, it's got to come
well,
true. So,
I've already been working on it, and it'll be done in probably a couple of weeks.
so,
You know what I mean?
so what are you talking about exactly?
About your theme song
Ah,
for the store.
the
Yes,
jingle
I'm
for the
writing
store.
jingle, so
Nice.
and it's amazing. I think it's perfect to the spot. It's right on. It's exciting, and it brings you back. I'm telling you, you're gonna laugh Tony, when you're gonna be like, "That's yeah, dude." You know what I mean? That is so 80s. You know, I mean, it's just, but it hits on what the store is about. You know what I mean? And I'm just happy and privileged and honored to be a part of that. So thank
Yeah.
you for letting me do that.
No,
for you.
and thank you for letting us use Over Atlantis
You guys
as
have
the show
all
music.
access to all my
'cause-
music. Anything you guys need it for, I appreciate it.
To be fair, I've been cutting bits of songs and using them in different videos
Uh-huh.
that we've been using.
That's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, I gave Gino.
So, so speaking
I will
of
not sue my big brother for using my music.
so speaking of the music, so your band is called the Pup Zenabi Instrumental Project,
Right.
correct? You guys have been together for almost 7 years now.
Almost 8.
Almost 8.
8
Ooh, I had to
years.
count off.
Which is crazy.
You were talking about doing a music video. What is well? First thing I want to do is I want to let people know how they can find your music, and we could put some links on the comments
Sweet,
when we
that would be
post this
wonderful,
video.
thank you.
But tell us some of the places we can find your stuff
It's
at.
on iTunes, Amazon Music, Spotify. I mean, basically.
Basically, all the major outlets
all
for
the major
music.
outlets.
Yeah.
Get in, appreciate any patronage.
There you
to
go.
The site.
There
It goes
you
a
go.
long way, especially for an instrumental band.
Yeah.
And these days it's really rare, and I like the fact to think we're doing something different.
Yeah. The other thing you did for us too is you DJ'd our sidewalk
Yeah,
sale.
that was wonderful. That
And
was a lot of fun.
I got a lot of comments after you DJ'd the sidewalk. They said, you're going to do more of these, right? I said, yeah. And they go, and then the second question was always, and Pup's going to still be the DJ, right? So
Cinnamon
we,
to
we,
the stage.
we may have to.
I got a laugh out of Corey. I'm happy.
Yeah,
over here.
yeah. So we're gonna have to lock you in. So our next one is gonna be in September. So I'm gonna give you a heads
Sweet.
up. And then of course our July 1st big birthday bash. We're hoping to, if not do live bands, which we would love P-Zip to be part of that.
Absolutely.
If not the live bands, we definitely at least want you to be there to DJ for our 1-year anniversary party
That sounds
and
great.
give people the opportunity to meet you and actually
be
kind of
great.
interact with you more.
That would
you
be
know?
great, man. I really like, any exposure is good exposure. You know what I mean? So, put yourself out there. I mean, I'd play malls if they let me. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
we've been-
I wouldn't have a problem with that. I'd be like, sweet.
I think we've been doing good building the community up. So I'm looking at the Dreadnought Council here. I don't want to tie Pup on my own. Any other questions from the council or thoughts?
Well, I'd just like to say that is a very beautiful guitar that you
Oh, thank
showing
you.
off there.
Thank you so much, Corey.
I don't know much about guitars, but that's a
You-
really beautiful
Thank you,
guitar.
buddy.
I would love to
Take
have
it-
it just as a piece of art in my house.
Hand it to him. Let him take a look.
Yeah.
Thank you, bud. Yeah, it's taken over 20 years to get it to that. You know what I mean? A lot of trial and error. There were several, goes. So
That's really nice.
thank you so much.
And just because it's fun to talk about. So before we headed to Dallas for the guitar show, you and I went to see Vi and Satch.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Right? We both got to ask questions
that was
of the
amazing.
guys. So your question was.
Yeah, hey, does being Italian have anything to do with being a good guitar player? 'Cause
Yeah.
like Satriani, Vibe, Petrucci, Al Di Meola. I mean, it keeps going and going and going. So, but they're all instrumentalists, though. You
Right.
see what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it seems to be like we're attracted as a culture, I guess.
Yeah.
To,
Yeah.
to shredding. I don't know why we shred Parmesan, we shred this, we shred a guitar. I don't know. But no, I had to ask that question because everybody was being just mundane. Everybody was asking the same questions. How do you play diminished seventh and then blah blah? And we're all like just dying. We're like,
Or
so
about composing and
yeah,
that kind of
it's
thing. Yeah.
like man, you get a chance to talk to Satch and Vi, hit him with something fun. Talk to him and get to know him. And I think actually we had one of the longest responses out of anybody's questions. So it was
That,
fun.
that was an interesting part about it,
Yeah,
right? So
right.
just people that don't really know how to do interviews asking
Right.
interview questions. Yeah.
Yeah, make it fun, people, when you go to meet and greets. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
make it fun. Ask him, what's your dog's name? You know what I mean? Like, it's better than that.
Well, then and then a young
When do
guy
you
pops up.
practice
And he asked the best question of the night.
Yeah,
He
right,
asked
yeah.
Vi what his favorite Satch song was, and
What
Satch what his
Satch's-
favorite Vi
That
song
was
was.
great.
So
Great question.
Um, so let's segue a little bit into the toy world here, and we'll transition slowly. So, one of the things that we're trying to see if we can start bringing into Bat City Toys is because some people brought it up to me too. They're like, well, you do a lot with McFarlane figures. Do you have any Kiss Band figures?
Right,
Or, like I've got a Reaction Cliff Burton toy. I meant to bring it in, but I didn't. Hanging up in my office with my Cliff with my Kiss figures.
Right.
So we're trying to bring in some of those. Do you have any in your collection? Any musicians or?
Mainly the stuff I have is Marvel, Ninja Turtles, number one.
Okay.
Transformers. I
Right.
mean, you name it. I have
So
it.
so here's my question to the musician: if you could have a action figure
Absolutely.
of a musician, who would it be?
Joe Satriani.
There you go.
Yeah.
I kind of figured I'd do the answer to that.
Because then all I have to do is put a beard on him. And it's like, looks like me.
So
No,
so
I think that's something that I know they have some that you can get, but
Yeah.
the fact that I can anybody here, guys, think
I
of
don't
a
think I've
line
ever
that
seen
just
one.
does nothing
Yeah.
but musicians?
not a line. I mean, NECA does some
You
toy
see what I mean?
stuff, right?
Maybe that's something Bad City Toys
Super
should
7
use.
does.
Well, from my memory, which is not that great, the first action figures that were made of a band was Kiss, and that was by Mego. Their 12-inch
Right.
Mego Kiss dolls. Then after that, they started making different other bands. I remember purchasing for both of my cousins because they were both in bands at the time. Were Todd McFarlane's Kiss Psycho Circus.
Ah, yeah, okay.
Those were some pretty good action
Yeah.
figures.
Yeah.
But
And
I'm
now-
wondering if anybody's actually just going to start everything from Elton John to Taylor Swift.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
they should have like action figures for
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
you know what I
there
mean?
are
Like
some
Whitney
out there.
Houston, Etta
yeah.
James.
Ryan was telling me that, and I don't know, I forget the toy maker. Ryan would know off the top of his head. And Ryan ordered it was an Elton John at the piano in the Rocket Man
That's
costume.
awesome.
Yeah, so
I would buy that.
they're starting
in a
to pick.
heartbeat.
They're starting to pick some of those up. So Tony, if you had a musician or a band action figures, what would you want?
It would have to be a 2-pack.
Okay,
Zach Wild and Dimebag.
there you go.
I gotta give you
There
that.
you go.
Yeah.
I'd be right up there. I mean, anything Ozzy, I think I would love to see because he's just such a character. He definitely would make sense, right?
I have a Rebel Dixie, and I have a signed Zach Wild poster. When I met him,
Oh.
you gotta come check out the studio, bro. You're gonna love it.
Yes, I do.
I got all your boys there, dude.
So Jason, you're the one we haven't talked to yet. What musician would you want to have as an action figure?
Say Steve Perry,
Hell yeah.
Mickey Thomas,
There you go.
great vocals.
Nice,
Can
nice.
you say hell yeah on here?
Yeah, absolutely. You know that I just because I just saw it the other day. Did you know that Steve Perry and the guys was it 38 times platinum, that album?
Jeez.
Dear Lord,
And
right?
it only topped number 6 on the charts when it debuted, but since it's gone 38 times platinum. I'm like, holy cow. One of the best-selling
I'm still sitting
records
at,
of the
I'm
80s.
Still sitting at 10. Life of an instrumental
E-
guitar player.
exactly. No, man. I mean, I don't know what's better. Is it better to get an award for your music or to be forever honored as an action figure and something that'll live on, or statue or something,
And
right?
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you one other thing, and this comes from my heart, and this is some way in my life and something I've told my sons as far as why I love music too. I said, can you name who your great 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 grandfather is? Right? No. Do you know who the 15th president of the United States was? No. Do you know who was the quarterback in the 1969
Yeah.
Super Bowl? You know what I mean? Like, but if you ask somebody, do you know who Jimi Hendrix is?
Right.
You know what I mean? Do you know who Mozart is? You know what I mean? There's something about music that just no matter what, man, it's gonna live on. It'll never die. You know what I mean? It will never die. It's part of us as a human species. We have to have it. It's probably one of the most primitive, you know, uh, things that we go towards. We gravitate naturally.
Yeah.
And I like to think, if somebody found a perfectly tuned acoustic guitar on an island and had never heard a lick of music in his life or her life, whatever, um, what would that guitar sound like?
Hmm.
What would they do with it? Rock and roll and music should just be from the heart. It should be what you feel. Just go for
I
it.
was watching yesterday an interview with Steve Vai, and they asked him about his influences, and he stopped and he talked about what he thought were the only two greatest guitarists of all time that have actually created something that helped other guitarists realize that the guitar could go that way. The first one he cited was Jimi Hendrix, which I don't argue with at all.
Right, right,
And then the second, because of the tapping technique and everything, was Eddie Van Halen.
right.
And he said, we're still waiting for that third guitarist. So
Trying to get there.
but he said because these guys went and figured out what else the guitar
Yeah,
could do
that's it.
rather than playing it the same way
Experimentation,
everybody
man.
else did, right? So
Trying to make it up on your own, man. It's important.
yeah.
Being your own person, and there's a lot of people that have a lot of writers and a lot of producers and or hand given hits. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm a grassroots guy, man. I'm doing this from the ground up. I don't. I would of course appreciate help, but I also don't want to sacrifice anything about myself.
Right.
And what I'm doing, especially my boys watching me, uh, I want to be who I am, how I am, and hopefully affect a lot of people's lives in a positive way.
So there's a Netflix series called The Toys That Made Us, right?
Oh, I love it.
And
Oh, God,
so
I love that.
it goes into the background of the toys, but the whole emphasis, I mean, in the opening and everything, is the fact that because we're of that generation where we played with toys, that made us who we are. So I guess I'm going to put that out there for you. Looking back at, what toys did you play with? Did any of those have anything to do with music? Or I'm thinking, because I guess I know the answer is, how did playing with toys develop and affect your creativity to be a creator in your later
Totally.
life?
I mean, it's something I try to push with, Carmine and Vinny, get out, put down the screen, go, experiment, have
Right,
fun.
right.
Like, man, I had the most amazing Ninja Turtle and Alien versus Predator battles in my front lawn when Dad would come home with his hand on his face, go, because everybody and their mother saw me, man. I'm running over here and I'm running over
Yeah.
this is happening. But yeah, man, we used to do something.
Yeah,
You know what I
that
mean? Everything
lack of
didn't
screen
just
time,
come
right?
from the screen,
Yeah.
man. And remember, I had my
Hmm.
whole tray. There were all these stands. Remember the little
The
compartments for the
were they
turtles?
like whiskey boxes or something
I
or
don't know
something?
what I don't
And
know what they
they
were.
had just
Yeah,
they had these
the
cubbies
little
that were just
yeah,
big enough for the turtles,
perfect for my. I mean,
and
if
so
it
he
was
would
made
display
for a
them that
Ninja
way.
Turtle, it was there. Yeah, that's something my dad taught us at a young age, man. Take care of your stuff. It goes a long way.
Yeah.
So
And you mentioned that, so I
you hear that, Vinny? Okay.
so there we were
Well, I
lucky
trip over
we were
everything.
lucky enough to come across several toy lines as we grew up, but
Yep.
I know you gravitated probably most to turtles,
Absolutely.
and
Oh
by then
yeah.
I was kind of, I mean, I knew
You're
them, I
older.
liked them, but I was getting older.
Yeah.
Um, but there's this
Now look at him.
yeah, right. But there's this great debate that I guess anybody who's into turtles one of the first things they do is identify with one of the four turtles because they each have
All
a
day.
different.
All day.
So what? So which
Raphael.
Raphael?
There ain't no way you can tell me I was any of the other ones. No, I mean, give me a break. I mean,
Right.
maybe with a slight of Michelangelo, but definitely Raphael.
Definitely Raphael. T, how about you? Do you gravitate to one?
Splinter.
Not even turtles, just Splinter, right? Why Splinter? Wait a minute, that's cool. Why Splinter?
He's the one that they always sought help from when needed, and he was
Ah.
the one that would watch them, make sure that they were okay, but let them make their mistakes as they will, but come to him when they need it.
Master Splinter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
Master Splinter.
for me, it's the whole thing. It's the same with the Star Wars. It's
You
Yoda.
are a good man, Tony.
It's that whole sage type person.
Huh. So you value that wisdom proposition. You want to be that kind of wisdom type
Exactly.
of guy.
I
I
just
got
like
you.
Raphael because he's like, what's his name, Michael Douglas, and falling down basically the whole
Right.
time. He's had enough of this.
And that's definitely the way they portrayed him in the
I'm
movies
telling
too,
you,
right?
he's Italian.
Yeah.
But he didn't have a guitar.
He didn't.
He
No,
didn't.
He didn't. But
So-
they rocked out.
So Jason, Corey, you guys have enough familiarity with the turtles? I know they were probably a little bit after your time,
Yeah,
but
I got in. I never really got into turtles. That was kind of more late '80s.
Yeah.
So I kind of got into Nintendo. But
Oh man.
yeah. Video games hit, right? Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Vinny sparked it.
I like Leonardo just because he was blue.
All
so
right,
keep
all
it
right.
simple. I don't even know his personality, but
But you have kids though. I mean, so your son,
My
I know,
son likes the turtles.
was a collector of turtles.
He has tons of vintage turtles.
Is he a gravitate to any character that you know
He
of?
likes the war, like the Civil War and the kind of the I don't know the names of them, but
Kind of like the costume ones.
yeah, they were kind of later issue ones.
Huh. Okay. Oh, I know what you're talking
Civil
about. Yeah.
War,
The
they had
army,
cowboy.
the more vintage one. They had
Yeah.
That's cool.
the chief turtle
Yeah,
and
those.
all those ones that they came up with later because they were like, wait a minute, we've done all of these before. Now what do? We do
Right.
sports, we do Olympics, we'll do war, we'll do
Star Trek.
civil.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Star Trek
Trek.
ones. You're
You
right. They did
Trekkie?
the Star Trek ones too.
Trekkie?
Well, it's all sci-fi pretty much.
Okay,
I like
there you
Star
go.
Wars,
Yeah,
Star
oh,
Trek,
yeah,
and
yeah.
all that. But back to the turtles. I have a full set of turtles back at home in Maryland, and my favorite was Donatello. One because I like the way both staff fighting is. It just looks really elegant to me. And Donnie's just the dude who does the machines. So I always like to tinker with stuff. So uh, we gravitate to each other.
Sweet.
Yeah, I was kind of Donatello too.
Yeah, you
I mean,
totally
that's
Donatello.
that's and
Yeah, this for you.
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking
I know what you're talking
I
about.
don't have a mask, Master Splinter.
If anybody's
take it
seen
back.
that video, take that. Oh, it's a wet diaper.
It's a diaper.
Donatello never gets any love, man.
It doesn't, man.
I mean,
Did
you know,
see
the side
what
they made.
Seth Rogen
They,
did to him?
I know they made him
I
the.
mean,
the
they make it even worse.
even worse in every one, right?
I want
mean,
to
it's
see
like,
roided out Donatello, like, you know what I mean? He's got like this watch thing that he touches, and
Yeah.
like an LGB. Just
Right.
Like,
Well, you know,
like,
when I
there
heard
you
it,
go.
when I heard the Last Ronin concept, I thought, how cool would it be if the Last Ronin was Don? And then no, they made the Last Ronin with Mike,
Michelangelo,
and I'm
yeah.
like, but he is the youngest. I mean, whatever.
Right.
I'm not the
happy
writer.
about
I'll
that.
talk to Laird and Eastman about it
I
later. or whatever.
am the biggest anti-killing off characters.
Right.
I can't stand it. I think it's stupid. What was his
limit
name?
limit
Larry
your
Hama?
property. Yeah,
Larry
Larry
Hama?
Hama, yeah.
Right. Well, we're going to that kind of stuff. Wolverine was my guy.
There you go.
Life, right?
Yeah.
And Gino told me he went to go meet Larry Hama.
Which we did at Retromania.
To catch
yeah.
people up, I was a huge Wolverine fan. I mean, massive, loved him. And issue 75 came out. Larry Hama decided he was just gonna rip out all the adamantium, and I remember getting it at Target, and I'm like, and you know why? And ruined me. Like, you know me, I used to write letters. I used to write letters to people like, why would you do this? Like when Poison broke up, man. The 7-year-old kid sent it out. Why did you do this? Anyways, Gino told me he used to make you mad at him, and I was like, do me a favor, kick him in the. Like, just kidding, but you know what I mean? You jerk,
Did you?
Larry.
So then you're not gonna like the X-Men '97. Have you watched that series yet?
No, I have not. No. Oh God. Why? Why
All
am I
right.
always
No
attacked?
spoilers for anybody else, but I think
Right.
that's late enough in the season that it won't be a spoiler for anybody else. So yeah. So we talked about your turtles. Obviously, Wolverine, a big character that you enjoyed.
Yep, I'm still waiting to get a number one.
Oh.
I have number two,
Hmm.
2 through 10, and then a bunch of other runs, but I do not have a complete collection yet,
Yeah.
which is one of my bucket list things is finish my Wolverine collection.
So you mentioned other. So we talked about turtles. We talked about the Marvel stuff,
Alien, Predator.
Alien and
Yeah.
Predator, and
I love those. I still think those are some of the best toys ever made.
yeah.
Lots,
It's
lots of options and lots of different scenarios you could play with them. And you know what I mean? It wasn't
yeah.
just your normal. There's a guy with his arms that move. You know what I mean? They blew up. They did things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they were cool.
And those are
Scorpion was probably one of the craziest ones I've ever seen.
the Scorpion Alien.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
hit the back and he blows up.
Yeah.
I mean, literally goes to pieces with guts and everything, and you got to put it back together. So when you shoot him, you're like, cool.
So
You know? Like, that
so
was
a lot
awesome.
of people don't really, but so that was something that was kind of covered in the third movie when the dog turned into an alien.
Right,
That
right,
was where
right.
I think where that concept came from. But a lot of people don't realize, but that entire toy line by Kenner was developed to go in line with a Fox cartoon series they were
I
going to
did
do
not
on
know
Alien.
that.
So that's why when people look at it, go, well, the Bishop looks a little different, and Ripley looks different, and everybody looks
Yeah.
different, and then where did all these other aliens come from? They weren't from the movie. Well, it's because the toy line didn't mirror the movie; it mirrored what they were going to do with the show. And then somewhere along the lines, Fox executives woke up and went, "Wait a minute. So let me get this straight. You're pitching me that we're going to do a show based on a rated R movie, which kids can't watch." Or shouldn't be watching, right?
Yeah, right.
Uh,
Yeah. Because
and
you
you're
know
gonna
they're
do,
gonna look it up.
yeah,
Right?
you're gonna do a
I
cartoon
got a
show
great story too after this.
on that, and so yeah, so the show never happened, and Kenner was like, well, shit, man, we're gonna go for it, and so they put the toy line out. So
Yeah,
They did
remember,
it with Troma.
they did with Trauma too, yeah,
They
same
made a
thing.
kid cartoon out of it.
They made but they changed the whole basis of his story, right?
Yeah.
So
But it was still something where people who know where it came from can still enjoy it.
exactly.
Yeah,
They did the same
you know,
thing with Rambo.
yeah,
Yeah,
mhm.
Rambo too, right?
Rambo.
Yeah, Chuck Norris. Boy, a lot of violent toys. In
Right.
those,
Well,
right?
you remember Child's Play, right?
Yes.
Obviously,
Yeah,
Chucky,
yeah.
right? Well, I got to tell you this. It's not my story. It's something I heard on the radio, but I got to tell you.
Okay.
This is hysterical. So, going back to the 80s and things like that, and toys that are movies and whatever, right? This dad calls in. And he's talking about, when his kid was young and he used to stay up late and look down the hallway like me and you used to do when we
Right.
watch TV when we were supposed to be, you know.
Yeah.
And he says he's like, it was back in the 80s and I rented Child's Play. And my son had come out and I guess watched the movie and he had one of those My Buddy dolls at the time, right? Your kid says, "You're my buddy." So the dad didn't know that he was up and watching or whatever, but ends up leaving for work in the morning and saw the My Buddy sticking out of the trash can. He's like, "What the heck?" Right? So he pulled it out of the trash can and put it back in the kid's room. He gets a call from his wife, and I don't know what happened. He's screaming at his My Buddy doll. He's like, "Well, it was in the trash." And kind of put two and two together, right? That, he had stayed up or whatever, got scared, figured it out. Well, by the time the dad got home, I mean, I love this dad. Whoever he is, if you're hearing this, God bless you. You give me hope and ideas to drive my children nuts. By the time he got home, the kid had cut it all up and everything, right? And threw it back out in the trash. That father stood up all night stitching it back together and put it back in that little kid's room, man. And he gets a call when he's at work. And it's his wife frantic. He won't come out of the room. Like, hats off to you, sir. You know what I mean?
Sounds like something our
Real
dad would
man
have
of
done. Yeah.
genius. Like, I can just imagine. Remember the stuff Dad used to do to
Yeah,
me, right?
yeah, yeah.
I remember screaming for Dad one day. Dad, Dad. He comes in and like, what? Like, I'm scared. I'm all alone. He's like, you're not alone. The boogeyman's with you. Shuts the door. Or what was it after he made us watch? What was that? Toys, demonic toys or whatever that it was. At midnight. Remember the B movie company? Was it
Oh, oh,
with
oh, oh, oh,
Pinhead
oh,
and
oh.
the
Puppet
Puppet
Master.
Master.
Puppet
Puppet
Master? Yeah,
Master. Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah,
Man, we
yeah.
watched that, and he comes in with Mom's clown doll and throws it and screams.
Yeah.
Ah! Shuts the door. And one
Full.
day we had the day beds. Remember the day
Uh-huh,
beds?
uh-huh,
Anybody doesn't
yeah.
know what a day bed is? You got one that sits on top,
And then the
one that slides underneath it,
yeah.
right? Well, I had the one that was above. And I was scared of the boogeyman. I was scared of went in my bed. When I was a little kid, I didn't the guy in the closet, whatever. My father, one morning I'm waking up, and I feel this underneath the bed, in the mattress. I'm sitting there like this. I'm like, okay, that didn't happen, and I'm like cocooned up, like tight as it could be. I'm coiled, man. And again, I couldn't even scream. Next thing you know, I see Dad's hairy ass on grab me and just oh my god. I'm telling you, this is a reason why we're like we are.
Yeah. In the comments, tell us if your fathers have ever screwed with you this much, or if you've done this to your children.
We do not condone.
We'll have to replay this as a cut for Halloween or something, right? So I'm making mental notes. We need to have Chucky dolls at the store because that's going to be.
Well, so I kind of have a similar story about Chucky. So we're living with my grandma at the time. She collected dolls. After watching that movie, I couldn't fall asleep, so I put my GI Joes around my bed to protect me.
There you go. There you go.
Speaking of GI Joes, everybody remember that Cheers episode where they break into Woody Harrelson's character's girlfriend's bedroom, and
Oh yeah, she's got all the dolls.
it's all the Barbie
everywhere.
dolls
Oh,
everywhere.
yeah.
And was it Sam who said, "Oh, my GI Joe would have a lot of fun in here"?
Yeah, I remember that. My GI Joes would have a lot of fun in here.
Sam, what a great show.
Right.
Well, we are right about the end of time here. So, Pup, do you have anything else going on? You guys got shows coming up?
We're
or?
actually kind of lining some stuff up, but
Yeah.
if you guys want to check me out on Facebook, it's Pup Zenabi. That's Zenabi, or look on the screen. leave a message after the beep. But yeah, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, stuff like that. Go ahead and give us a like. I'd really appreciate it. It'd be great.
Yeah. And again, thanks for lending your talents and your music to the show
I
and
love
being
it.
a friend of the store.
Love you
and,
guys, man. You guys are all amazing.
You know, and
Very honored to be here.
love to have you
Humbled.
back again too, and definitely, for our 1 year anniversary coming up in a couple of months, love to have, if we can get the whole band thing going on, love to have you guys play. At the very least, love to have you back to DJ too, because everybody loves hanging out with you and the way
Love
you
that. So
you
honored to be
rock
a
that,
part of
man.
it, and thank you very much.
So so that's show number 2 in the books for Under the Bridge. We thank Pup again for being here with us, and we miss Art. He'll be back sometime, but we love having Corey as a new Dreadnought in the Dreadnought Council. So everybody out there in YouTube land, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, leave comments in the comments, and until Volume 3, be well. We'll talk to you guys later.